I'm Brigham Larson with Brigham Larson Pianos, and we're going to do another Reacts video. So we're giving away, if you haven't seen it already, we're giving away a free restoration. We're collecting stories, documentaries, mini documentaries. I mean, this one is going to be 4 minutes, so it doesn't have to be anything too extravagant or elaborate. But families have kind of united around pianos for generations, and pianos have very much bridged one generation to the next. And so these documentaries, these mini little family histories that we're collecting are about that, about family history, about the piano, about the importance, the centrality of the piano in the family experience, in the human experience, wherever you want your imagination to go. And then at the end of the year, rather the end of the contest, which is going to be Mother's Day 2025, we're going to choose one, and then we are going to give away a free restoration of that piano. So, okay, let's check this piano out. Beautiful piano it's got there.
My name is Grant Weaver, and this is my 6th generation piano.
6th generation.
I mean, the biggest thing for me is it's been in my family for it's 6 generations now, if I count my kids learning on it. I believe it was built in around 1887. My family came across it somewhere, we're guessing around 1910, in the 1910s, so it was bought used.
Used in 1910, and those two panels, those wood panels back there, that's pretty typical of 1880s, 1890s, and then the ornateness just kind of continued to decrease over the decades after that.
It was my great uncle who was poor, and my mom, the only word that she uses that or the phrase that she's been able to get from the family to understand its history is that it was purchased at great sacrifice, you know, for the family.
So, by the way, let me say right here, the fact that he's poor and yet he was able to acquire a piano, that is, I think that's a huge testament to the transformative influence of American piano manufacturing, because the piano was really a luxury item. The piano is 300 years old, the technology, and it was mainly just a European thing. And then by the 1880s, it was still mainly just for, especially particularly in Europe, it was mainly for the upper class. It was only the wealthy that could afford such a luxury item. But because American piano manufacturing was doing what Henry Ford supposedly invented several decades later, American piano manufacturing had already been doing that for several decades, meaning just economy of scale, assembly line kind of manufacturing. That brought the piano to within middle class reach, and in some cases, even the reach of poor people. So that's very much the American story, I think, in general, and specifically in the world of pianos. So one last thing about that, as the United States industrialized, everybody moved from the farm to the cities, the piano was the symbol. It was the status symbol to proclaim, I've made it. I'm no longer a country bumpkin. I'm no longer a farmer out in the middle of Kansas or something, but I'm a member of the contributing class. I have social status. I have social standing. So even a poor person in 1910 could afford, and I mean, you can imagine the extravagance, looking at that piano behind him, the extravagance that a piano like that would be for anyone, much less a poor person.
You know, at that time, you know, I believe they were living in Idaho. My great aunt Wanda, so it was my great uncle that bought it, and my great aunt Wanda had it. I remember her vaguely. I don't know if I ever went to her house and saw it at her house. The first time I remember seeing the piano was after we called her Grandma Wanda, passed away. My grandparents just had it at their house for several years until my parents moved out of the apartment we were living in and moved into a home up in North Ogden. And this is the piano I learned to play piano on for years. There's some scratches that are on it that I'm pretty sure, you know, I made as a kid with a paper clip at some point, you know, and so some of the scratches I'll have, you know, from each generation. I'm pretty sure there's like a Chinese symbol that one of my kids put in somewhere that they were scratching away at it. But
some water damage on top.
yeah, I've had it since I was about 22 or 20, yeah, my early 20s or so. Then I've just kind of lugged it from place to place. And yeah, it's been in the family for 6 generations now of people who played the piano. You know, I guess maybe it skipped a generation somewhere in there, but I mean, the fact that it's been in the family for so long, and that it's, I mean, it's, you know, where, you know, it's very special to me just because this is the instrument I, you know, spent so many hours on as a kid, and I'm teaching my kids on. So getting it restored would be really beautiful because, you know, it's only, you know, slowly, you know, over time kind of loses its touch. I've never actually even had it tuned. I guess I've always been nervous too, just because I want to take, you know, I don't want to mess with with it. But it would be really cool if we could see it, you know, and preserve it to keep it in the family. I'd really.
It's an older action. That's a previous style of action with a wooden frame there. So maybe it's 1880s. I'm thinking it might be 1870s. I don't know. We'd have to look it up. It could be 1880s, but I don't know. There's a little question mark.
Really, you know, and try and talk it up to my kids to, like, you know, someone to take it and carry it on for as long as we can. It's not a very common thing to see a piano be in a family that long. So
that's true.
For over 100 years now, been in the family. I mean, I think it was originally made in New York. I don't know. We don't know exactly where it was purchased. We believe that he was living up in Idaho when he did buy it. So we think it was acquired in Idaho at some point because that's where they were living, and then made it down to Utah as my grandma Wanda got older, and then it got to it was sitting at my grandparents' house in Farmington for several years, and so. But then, other than that, it's been in Utah, the whole time. It's a little honky tonk, but it's not. I've heard worse on much newer pianos, so I can still sit down and play it. I have another like electronic downstairs that's for more playing now. It's more of an antique, but
too bad. That's a story. It could be a fantastic flight. He's a good player. Piano needs work. He's a good player. Yeah, needs work. Cool. Very cool video. So, you can imagine the amount of resources and effort that go into manufacturing something like that, something that extravagant. Not only the woodwork on the outside, all of the carving. Of course, there are no CNC machines at that time, so all of that was handwork. That was high level, high skill craftsmen that were doing this stuff. But then also all of the work on the inside, casting the plate, assembling the soundboard and the bridges, and putting all of that together, getting a down bearing just right, getting the pin block, assembling all of the action. I mean, this is a major amount of effort that's required to put together a piano. So something like that in today's dollars would have been about $50,000. That is to say, approximately, give or take, the average American salary for 1 year. And so for someone in Idaho, like his great uncle, great uncle, something like that, to acquire something like that, he said a great personal sacrifice. I'm sure used in 1910 it wasn't $50,000, but it was probably, something maybe half of that in that vicinity. So yeah, pretty cool piano, and that's definitely one that I would love to see restored. If you'd like to win a free piano restoration, go to brighamlarsonpianos.com. In the top left drop-down menu, select Free Restoration Giveaway and submit your entry. We look forward to watching your piano legacy video soon.